To be fair, if she ate a rose, I'd eat it too, you know what I'm just saying.
Would you
But
eat her rose?
I would devour it.
Welcome to Agents of S.C.R.E.E.N, the first and only place to come to for movie reviews live at the cinema. We've just watched DC and Warner Brothers' latest superhero movie flick, Aquaman. We'll get straight into first opinions. Adam, what did you think of the film?
Do you know what? I actually quite enjoyed it. I have no real knowledge of Aquaman, to be fair, so I had no expectations coming into the film. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent film.
Yeah, I mean, you said DC near enough has Batman the only thing going for it. So what do you think?
No, that is true. As far as the DCEU is concerned, I think this was a solid film. It's probably one of the best films they've done. I feel like the story's been told over and over though, with the whole I don't want to be king, I'm the guy on the edge, and then you realise at the end, I am king now, sort of thing. So it was good. I enjoyed it. It is an origin story. I mean, if you look at it, they followed the New 52 storyline, which is basically, when you saw the trench, and then you saw the kingdoms coming together and stuff like that. So to be fair, they did follow the comic fairly well. The problem I have with always sticking to the source is you're just watching what you've read.
And you're going to know what happens.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like this might have hindered the film a bit from my perspective.
Yeah, Tom, first opinions on the film?
I really enjoyed it. I thought the visuals were really good. Like you were saying with the trench, like when they was coming down and they panned out and they showed them going down, I thought that was like the sickest scene. And it was like, there was thousands of them, but I didn't think there was that many. Like obviously they swarmed the boat, but underwater there was pure of them. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on the visual effects, I when I first was coming into the film, I thought, you know what, I don't know how they're going to do this. Underwater, I might get a bit like, they look like they out of breath, but it made it look like it was outside of the water. So I think they've done that I think that was a good direction to go with that one. Unlike the scene in BVS though, where we see Aquaman and he looks like he's holding his breath. He's like... So that was kind of like interesting how they did that, yeah. But Miles, what do you think of the film?
I think this is the first DC film in a long time that I haven't left disappointed. While I do have some things that I didn't necessarily like, I enjoyed the film, and that's one of the first DC films in a while I could say that about.
So that was our first impressions of the film. I mean, personally, I went into that film, wasn't expecting much based on their track record. However, I was impressed. I especially liked Jason. He was, I think he's got that role. They picked the right Aquaman for that. So I think that would be sort of my highlight of the film was him and Mira. I mean, what was everyone's best bits? Favorite bits from the film?
Well, if you're just talking about highlights of the film, I think the overwhelming highlight for me, as Tom said before, was the visuals. The visuals were stunning. They captured the underwater feel. I was a bit on the fence about how their voices sounded underwater. It's kind of like a kind of gargle effect. But I understand why they did it. But I was a bit on the fence about that. But the visuals were really good. As you said, the scene when they had with the red flare going underwater, sick visuals.
That was the best scene by far.
Even the best scene by far.
By far, that was the best scene. The shot, the cinematography, the shot where it split from oversea and undersea, and you saw them first diving in, and there were thousands of them just starting to swarm them. That scene there, you just saw the boat isolated, all calm above, and underneath, you just got all that frantic chaos. That was a great scene. I'll buy that as a poster.
I mean, him as an actor though, I was a bit skeptical when they first announced him because obviously he doesn't look nothing like Aquaman. For the first time when they do these sort of cast changes where the character doesn't look exactly like what they do, this is the first time I've actually agreed with their choice. Like, even his outfit, I think towards the end of the movie when he actually gets his official outfit, that looks sick. I mean, even the cinematography on a lot of his poses, they're perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I overheard you a lot in the film, just like, that pose is sick.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Like, there was some pose, like, even at the end, I think in the credits when he comes up, and then he just like, hey, that just looks cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
There was a lot to like. I mean, is there anyone... Miles, what else did you like about the film?
I thought the director done a really good job. I think his name was James Wang. You spoke about the cinematography. There was a few one-shot takes where the camera doesn't cut at all. I like that a lot in films. And the last battle was really good. It was kind of Lord of the Ring-esque Even though it's not on that level, I'm not gonna say that because it's not. But that was something else I really enjoyed.
Yeah, Adam, what did you like about the film?
My favourite scene in the film, like as a whole scene, was probably when they went to Sicily. It was her first sort of take on the service land, if you like.
Real human life.
Fresh roses, they like taste sweet. To be
Tasty,
fair,
tasty.
if she ate a rose, I'd eat it too. You know what I'm just saying?
Would you
But
eat her rose?
I would devour it. But the best thing about that scene was when the conflict side. So when Black Manta and Aquaman were fighting, and when she was fighting the henchman, they started off in the same spot and they went their separate ways. And the camera kept going between the two, but in one take, like you mentioned earlier. They've done that really, really well. I enjoyed that a lot. So when he's fighting Aquaman, you can see her in the background still doing her bit. That was
sick.
That was really
that shot.
That was good, isn't it?
Like she was running on the rooftop,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
rock actually pan out,
Yeah.
and it went past the bell, and then you saw
Yeah,
Aquaman
and then they
sick.
just swing around to Aquaman's fight again, and then back. Yeah, they've done that very, very well.
I'll tell you what, one thing I really liked about the film, the Atlanteans, right? They were not afraid to be openly racist. I just liked the fact that they didn't, take this out of the film. They didn't hold it back because,
Even the Kraken.
mate, for the whole thing, so even the Kraken go, we doing half breed, bang!
He goes, "You're dirty mongrel" or something.
You dirty mongrel, bang!
You know, when the brothers first fought and their things came up, I said his name was Half-Breed, and he had no pros.
I wish that was on screen longer.
Yeah, I wanted to read it.
Because I wanted to read his I read his
wanted to
cons.
read
It was
it.
like half
tell you-
read. I didn't read the bottom one.
If it's online,
Someone
We'll
will
find it.
yeah. So I just like the fact that they actually didn't hold back on certain things. Also, another thing I liked about the film, the first fight when he challenged him and they fought in that arena. I really enjoyed that scene. It was quite reminiscent of I don't know if you guys remember Blitzball from Final Fantasy X, and the way they were swimming around in the arena. Of course, I remember. Do you know what Blitzball?
Come on, man! Don't talk to me about Final Fantasy.
Very reminiscent of Blitzball. The way they were swimming around in competition, I just thought,
It would
that
have been
was.
sick if they showed sports, innit? Like
Yeah,
how they play sports.
that would have been nice. Underwater sports, and even though that doesn't add to the story, I think that it's just adds to the concept. No, seriously, but it does. You're
It's
right.
the culture of life, innit?
It adds to the concept and adds life to the film, and I think that would have been good to see what kind of cool sports that these Atlanteans can come up with.
Just piggybacking off of your point and going back onto the visuals again, I think that they had some pressure on this film to kind of fully realize the world of Atlantis, and I think they've really done a good job of exploring, showing different factions, capturing the vastness of the ocean, all of that type of thing. I thought it was done really well. Even though I love Black Panther, one of my criticisms of that, as I felt like they could have shown more of Wakanda. I felt like they'd done a better job of realizing this world as an Atlantis, as opposed to doing that. So I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, so there were a lot of things we liked about the film. What didn't we like? I mean, I know this film was not perfect.
No, it wasn't. I think there was a few parts in some of the acts where I felt like, I don't say boring, but I felt like it felt flat a few times. I think there was some jokes that I just don't think that were funny. They were just
They
a
were
bit
cheesy, but they were funny. They were still funny.
Yeah, I mean, some of them
They
were
were good.
alright. Yeah, some of them are just it's just not hitting well. Yeah, and also I wasn't a fan of Black Manta's acting capabilities. I think in the beginning it was a bit
Over-dramatised.
Yeah,
maybe.
and then when he got the whole outfit, then it got a bit better.
When you didn't see his face, it got better.
Yeah.
You preferred the actor when you couldn't see him.
I prefer the actor when I couldn't see his face.
Tom, anything you didn't like about the film?
As much as I enjoyed it, I thought it went on for way too long. It did seem like this film's never going to end.
There's a few things I didn't like. I felt like the music at times was a bit strange, like the choices in certain scenes.
Yeah.
There was
That
I can't
scene
remember.
on the plane.
Was it a plane?
Yeah. It was the plane. What the hell was
That
that?
cheesy music that came in, I was like, what's going on here? Certain parts of the movie just felt like different movies. Like I felt like the villains, they looked like kind of Power Rangers-y.
Well, like the army.
Like the army, yeah. And in the middle, it kind of felt like Indiana Jones, when they're in the Sahara and they're slipping on the shit. Yeah. And there was, the bit where they were trying to unlock the puzzle to find the next clue to find the trident, and she took the water from his face, the sweat beads, and made it into one thing, and then the thing went on top of the whatever contraption it was, and it opened up. Have you ever seen The Fifth Element? Exactly like
Fifth
that.
Element, innit?
In the final scene in
one
Fifth
drop.
Element, they have to find it's fire, water, wind. They put a matchstick on the fire, blow on the wind, and then they get swept and just squeeze on the thing. The thing opens up just like that, so it looked like they ripped it directly from that.
They did steal a few things from this film. So like Miles was saying, the Fifth Element scene, and also there was a scene, National Treasure in the Desert. Yeah, why not? Indiana Jones, and then one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films, Ponyo, little fishy in the sea. Yeah, when he's driving his drunk dad home at the start, and then the ocean just starts chasing him. That's straight out of Ponyo. It was a good scene, straight out of Ponyo though.
Scary, that scene. Another thing I was querying as well, I mean, Mira's powers, she can control water and stuff. So when she was in Italy and she did the wine, she didn't just extract the water from that liquid, because it was red as well, so she was controlling the wine. So does she have control of liquid in general then, in that case, not just water?
Well, water's in wine, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, so why didn't... I would have thought she would have done that, and it would have taken the water out of the...
The wine is water, essentially.
It's got water. There's liquid,
in it, yeah.
So it should just extract the water...
And it will just leave
and
the
just
wine.
leave the wine. Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but I'm saying...
That's how it works. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this film. We've talked about what we liked, what we didn't like, our favourite parts. Let's get into our scores. Let's start with Adam.
So like I said, I had no expectations going into it. I thought the running time was maybe a little bit too long, but I thought it touched on a lot of things I didn't know, so I quite enjoyed it. It's 7 out of 10. It was a good film. All
right, cool. 7 out of 10. Let's go with Tom. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, my only really gripe was it was a bit too long in length. Yeah, the battle scenes were really good. I know you said it reminded of Lord of the Rings. I was thinking Lord of the Rings, Avatar. But yeah, I'll probably give it a 7 as well.
Miles.
Yeah, I think the perception of Aquaman going into this film, he was a little bit of a joke, you know, and obviously the power of him talking to fish has been like a running joke throughout the years. I think they handled those things quite well. It was an enjoyable film. I have some grabs. I think some things were overacted. The music in certain places, the choices were strange. I felt like the movie felt like other movies in different parts. I already discussed which ones, but overall I think the film was a success. I think they've done a good job. I'd want to see more of Aquaman, and so I think if that's the case, then I think overall this film was a success, even though I had some things that I thought could have been better. So I think I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5. Daryl, I mean, as our resident DC fan, what are you saying?
This is the best DCEU film they've made, which is not hard. I think there was some amazing set pieces, especially with the last battle, the trench. Look, man, I like this film. I enjoyed it. So for my score, I'm gonna go 7.5. A strong 7.5 though, on the verge of 8. Good job, Momoa, whatever your name is. Jason Momoa. Good job, man. And like you said, I want to see more of Aquaman.
For me, there were things I liked about the film, things I didn't like, things I loved, little nitpicks. One thing I forgot to mention earlier was when the Atlanteans were wanting to war with the humans, Superman would probably wipe you all out in about 10 seconds, but I don't know, maybe it didn't get to that. If I had to rate the film, after echo what you said, I think it's one of the DCEU's better films. I don't think it's as good as Man of Steel. I think I'd put this second, and I'd rate that a 7.5. So with very similar scores, that our average score will be displayed on the screen somewhere. Let us know what you thought of the video. Leave a comment. Let us know if you agreed with some points, disagreed. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe if you're not already, press the bell, get notifications. We've been the Agents of S.C.R.E.E.N. Peace.